Hey folks, I'm making a quick update here today because we have the nodes now right on the verge of changing signs. I'm recording this on September 17th at about 7 p.m. Pacific time. And you see, in the next couple of days, Rahu and Ketu are going to move from their positions in Gemini and Sagittarius into Taurus. You see, this is the 17th of September. One second. The 18th, which is tomorrow, they're like half a degree. 19th, boom, kaboom. By this time in 2 days, Rahu and Ketu will have moved into different signs. Now, again, the reason I'm mentioning this now, first of all, this is based on the true node, not the mean node. And it's based on using the Lahiri calculation, which is the standard of India. It's very close. And so these are the calculations. If you're saying it's the 21st or something, there's other dates out there. I heard it was later. That's based on the mean node. Okay, I use the true node because that's truly where the node is. I know that might sound redundant, but it's the true node. And the mean node is an estimate. It estimates the nodal movement backwards, whereas the true node puts it where it exactly is. And based on true node, we are here now, and in 2 days we're going to be in Rahu will be in Taurus. And so I do want to also just put this link here. This is a pretty quick update. I'm not going to talk very long, but I did want to just put this update, because we are right at that point where the nodes are changing now. But the thing to understand is that I actually did a very extensive free web class on the nodes in Taurus and Scorpio a couple months ago, and I put the link in the comment field there. So if you haven't signed up for that yet, go ahead and do it. It's definitely worth your time. It's free, and it's quite comprehensive, and I go over the historical implications of Rahu and Ketu here. I go over, many other qualities. Let me just bring it up real quick. Of the nodes in Taurus and Scorpio. And so, again, this is really something that you should look at. Here is the web class. When you click that link, you go here, and you learn about the nodes in Taurus and Scorpio for you and all the other 12 signs. Again, because if you're Aries, this is going to be Rahu in your 2nd house, Ketu in your 8th house. If you're Aquarius, it's Rahu in your 4th house, Ketu in your 10th house. Totally different. So that's really the best way to stay informed about this shift. And you're probably, whether you know it or not, you're noticing this shift right now. This is the shift that's actually happening for you personally right now. Is Rahu and Ketu are moving out of a particular sign axis for you and moving into another one. That's why things feel uncertain in general in the world. But for you specifically, it's around those houses. So it's very important for you to understand this. So I also talk about the nodes in Taurus and Scorpio historically. For example, the last time they went through here is when the U.S. had the Gulf War. We also started the Department of Homeland Security. We had a bunch of other things that happened. The last time Rahu went through Taurus and Ketu went through Scorpio. So it's very important to know that. Also, I talk about Rahu and Ketu in each of the Nakshatras, right? Because that's important. It's not just the Rashi, but it goes through each of the Nakshatras as well. Then also the eclipses during the nodes in Taurus and Scorpio. We have one coming up at the end of this year, very important, in Jyeshta Nakshatra. Talk about that. I also talk about very important practices and remedies at this time for each end of the node, for Taurus and for Scorpio. And that's also really important. And a lot more that's happening off the top, that I just talk about extemporaneously when I describe the when I talk about these things. So we'll get to this. Let's see. Okay. All right. So when we look at what's happening here, we have this shift, and in particular, there's a few things that are going on right now as I'm doing this here. I see where, especially Ketu right now, is passing through this Gandanta period, and he's been there for the last couple weeks, last week or week and a half or so. And so especially there's a lot of shifting and a lot of instability around the Sagittarius end of the node, which is our hopes and beliefs and teachers and teachings, moving back into Scorpio. And again, it's Ketu, the south node, that is doing the movement and unwinding this idea. This is why we've seen a lot of our previous held teachings and beliefs and ideas get sort of obliterated in the last year and a half or so, especially as it relates to worldly things, of course, because we really notice them a lot in the world. So things such as, our political beliefs, our political views, the heroes and saviors and people that we think are going to save us, so to speak, have been really in question. And this, we're really feeling it a lot now. There's a lot of questioning that's going on. Along the way, we've been, again, looking for a lot of alternative answers as we question our teachers with Ketu going through Sagittarius and teachings. We look for new ideas, new ways of looking at things that are more novel. Like, oh, maybe it's this, maybe it's that, which has been the Rahu in Gemini. This is why we've seen a lot of this elevation of conspiratorial thinking, of questioning everything about our world, because that's Rahu going through Gemini, questioning and trying to replace our old teachings and theories with something new and something in many ways kind of novel. And so we're feeling that as well in flux a lot as the nodes are shifting. And if I go back, I'll go back a week. When you go back a week, you'll see that's when they were about 1 degree. So you could see on September 10th, for example, they moved about 1 degree. So when they're in that last degree of one sign and then 1 degree of the next sign, that's what's called Sandhi, which means that they're sort of a mixture of both and sort of unreliable, so to speak, where their energy isn't so together. So we're seeing a lot of this shifting now, where a lot of the ideas of Rahu in Gemini, where we've been saying, okay, this idea, I'm not really sure, kind of scrambling for some consistent answer, we're now kind of settling some of that down, and we feel like we've at least to some extent settled on something, or we're going to be settling on something that's more settled. Like basically the idea that, okay, I've been gathering enough. I've been gathering too much. Now I realize even the sort of mind that wants to just keep devouring information and ideas is a big part of the problem. And so now I need to settle down a little bit. I need to settle all of this confusion and settle into something more stable. And as you can see, as you watch this Rahu end of the node up here, you'll see I'll move it forward a couple weeks. You see, within about 3 weeks, when we get to like early October, it will at least have been settled in Taurus. At least Rahu will have settled in Taurus by early October. This is October the 1st. So that's why I say the next week and a half or so, we're going to be going through this, 2 weeks, we're going to be going through this shifting. As Rahu moves from Gemini into Taurus, and we calm down a lot of that restless mind of Rahu and Gemini, searching for an answer, and settle more into a Rahu and Taurus, which says, okay, the new paradigm, the new thing that I've figured out with all this questioning of my teachers and my beliefs, which is the Ketu in Sagittarius, where it is now, all of that questioning of my teachers and my search for new answers has led me to settle on something new, a new paradigm, a new way of seeing things, which is the Rahu in Taurus, and I'm ready to do something about it, hopefully concentrate on that new course. That's the highest potential. And Ketu going through Scorpio says, and I'm ready to dig down into the deeper mysteries and my deeper triggering and the source of my need for gurus and teachers. Because again, we go looking for a guru and a teacher and a higher philosophy like we see in Sagittarius because of our fears and imagined fears and stresses and worries of Scorpio. 1 second. So now we're in that transition between these two life lessons. The life lesson of Rahu in Gemini, Ketu in Sagittarius, which is turning away from our previously held beliefs and teachers and embracing new ideas, new ways of understanding the world, which is the Rahu in Gemini, Ketu in Sagittarius axis, moving from that into settling on a committed new value system, new paradigm of values, and a new value system which has to do with Rahu in Taurus. And that new value system is something that's more stable and solid so that we can also penetrate and go more deeply into our insecurities and stresses and fears and worries, which is why we went looking for big teachers and gurus in the first place, which is shown by the Ketu in Scorpio. And that Rahu in Taurus, Ketu in Scorpio is going to be running our lives, running that part of our life for the next year and a half. And again, like I said, I have this web class free that you can go to if you haven't yet and see how it's going to affect you, because these things are going to be affecting you whether you know it or not. They're going to be influencing your life, and based on the houses where Rahu, where Taurus and Scorpio fall. And so again, you need to understand this, and you're going through this shift right now. So for example, if you're, like I said, if you're like if you're a Aquarius person, for example, then Rahu is moving, because Aquarius is here, Rahu is moving from the 5th house to the 4th house, because this is the 5th house, then he goes to the 4th house, and Ketu is moving from the 11th house to the 10th house. So there's this whole shift of, there's this whole shift happening. People are saying the sound is difficult, huh? I don't know why. One. Okay, that might be better. Let me know if that's better. But anyway, so sorry about that. So again, this shift is, yeah, some people had an issue. Anyway, so the shift is between, oops, let me do this again. All right, so the shift, it's happening between two houses. Like if you're Libra, then Rahu is moving from the 9th house to your 8th house, and Ketu is moving from your 3rd house to your 2nd house. So you need to know these things, because that's going to be really important to what's going to be unfolding for you in the next year and a half. It's not just an incidental thing. These nodal shifts are huge. Think of what happened when Rahu went into Gemini and Ketu went into Sagittarius a year and a half ago. Look at when this happened. It shifted March of 2019. This is when it shifted. Here's March 29th. So since March of last year, it was actually very early. We'll go back a day. I'll go back to the days when it actually happened. It was the 23rd, I think. 23rd, 22nd, 23rd. This was the exact day when Rahu went into Gemini, like literally the day when the Mueller report was released, like that pre-Mueller report. And that's exactly when it shifted. It was like that day. And that showed the Rahu in Gemini, where we were going to have this new shift and this new emphasis on information and data and how things were going to, be different. I'll even show you. That was the day. Watch, I'll bring up the screen. I just pulled it up. You can see right here, the Mueller report was, see it here, make it bigger, was on, oops, let me show. March 22nd. The report was submitted to Attorney General William Barr on March 22nd, 2019. So March 22nd, 2019, and by the way, this is why I use the sidereal zodiac and Lahiri Nuptia. Again, people can dispute this and people can say things about this, but I don't care what you say. This is March 22nd, 2019. Rahu, this is March 22nd, Rahu's in Cancer. March 23rd, Rahu is in Gemini. Now you think, and again, by the way, I was making predictions way before that Rahu going into Gemini is going to be a new time of data and a new way of understanding things. Look at how many things have changed since then. Remember where we were before that. And it was like, oh, when Mueller report comes out, Trump is going to get impeached, and this is going to happen, and that's going to happen, and that's going to happen. Notice how far away we are from that now. Notice how everything has been so scrambled since then. And it's been scrambled around all of these ideologies and political views. And I said that was what was going to happen, is by the end of it, we weren't going to know what we believe anymore. We're not going to know what we think relative to what happened before that. Notice how different that shift has been since that time, March 2019. And again, those who listen to me all the time know that I've been saying this, and I keep talking about, like, every update that I do, I always say, don't forget, this is happening with Rahu and Gemini, Ketu in Sagittarius, where we're questioning our beliefs. We're questioning the things that we already believe and trying on new ideas, new beliefs. And so this is where we're at right now, is Rahu is shifting from Gemini to Taurus. And as you see, now this is like April 16th, May 16th, June 16th, July, August, September, and now we're like right here. We're right on the edge now. So all that time, since like March of last year, where Rahu was going through Gemini and Ketu through Sagittarius, and we've been questioning all of our beliefs and trying to find new information to form new beliefs, etc. Now it's moving into Taurus, where things are going to be more settled and more stable. So again, how that's affecting you is going to be very important, and that's why you want to make sure to understand the shift and to get the free web class if you haven't gotten it yet. But I've already talked about this going forward, that what I think it's going to do, again, we have big things coming up in the next year and a half, starting with in the next 6 weeks, a presidential election in the US. I've already said that one of the main motivating factors in that election is going to be wanting the world to be more stable, because Rahu is going to be in Taurus and wanting more stability, however that looks to us. Some people might think Trump represents more stability. Some people might think Biden does in the US election. Trump is hoping that scaring people about Biden's America will make them think he's the safer choice, for example. But it's going to be a major motivating factor, is who do we think is more stable and solid? Because Rahu and Taurus, after Rahu and Gemini, where everything is scrambled and conspiratorial and nobody knows what to think anymore, we're going to want something that is traditional more than anything, because again, Rahu and Taurus is traditional, time-honored, stable, comfortable. These are all words for Taurus. We're going to be craving that more. And so those are the kinds of things that we can expect with this shift. And Montino, you come in and out of astrology. And I saw your comment the other day, and I do videos all the time, and I've been talking about it, but I'm talking about it now. So nobody will tell you. I'm telling you now. This is what it is. This is what it means. It means the shift into this information age, into something that's more kind of intellectual, kind of craziness a little bit, into something that's more stable and solid. That's what it means. And so, again, this affects each of us in a different way. So I wanted to do this quick update to let people know that we're, again, especially right now, we're at this point of big transition. Again, if we look at today, September 17th, again, Rahu is less than 1 degree. This is like the 18th. This is the 19th. In 2 days, it literally like passes over into the Taurus Rashi. Watch in the next couple of days. Watch and see things happen. I just showed you the last time it changed. To the day almost. Exact day. As I said, the Mueller report was released on March 22nd, 2019, to the day that Rahu moved from Cancer into Gemini. And again, I'm also telling you this because you'll hear the people, especially that talk about the zodiacs, and they have their theories that the zodiac isn't sidereal in Vedic astrology and all this stuff. And it's theories, 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 theories. That's fine. They fine to have their theories. I don't say it because of theories. Everything I say is because of practice. And I show it all the time. Everything. It's because, and by the way, it's also with the sidereal. People will often argue or debate the concept of the sidereal zodiac. The concept of, well, but where exactly is it? Lahiri Ainamsha is not really correct. It could be anything. Where exactly? Well, this is why I use sidereal. By the way, it's also why I use the true node. That's also true node calculation, not the mean node calculation. So you're seeing the reasons why. The reasons why I use the calculations and the zodiacs and all that I do is because of this, because I track it all the time and I show you. Those of you who watch me do this, you know I do this all the time. It literally, I see this much precision. It's like this close all the time. I've been doing it for 15 years. So this is why. And so again, this is also a great case study in sidereal zodiac, Lahiri Ainamsha, and true node calculation. So what I'm saying you too is look at the next couple days, because right now we're at that same point where in the next couple of days we might see something shift with public, with you know, in the political realm or something like that. I said, and I said this before, one thing we have to remember about Rahu and Taurus is the last time Rahu went through Taurus, it also is when we actually started the Gulf War. 9/11 happened when the nodes were in Gemini. We started the Gulf War when Rahu was in Taurus. Again, that's one of the ways that we do things to feel safe and feel stable. The main thing that we did to feel stable within the government was establish the Department of Homeland Security. That actually started the last time Rahu was in Taurus. Again, I talk about all of this in great detail in that free web class, so you should watch that. It's free. But maybe we can look at and notice in the next few days where some kind of proposition, oh, we just had, by the way, I'm looking, we just had the Middle East, Trump, to his credit for sure, just brokered a sort of peace in the Middle East with Israel and Bahrain and United Arab Emirates, which is definitely a good, obviously a peace accord in the Middle East is excellent. It's great news. It's also mixed with all kinds of ambiguity that I'm not going to jump into, but especially selling weapons to these people. All of that is underneath everything that has to do with Middle East, and particularly Trump. His whole bag is to sell weapons to everybody. But anyway, I'm just looking at things that can be an omen or an indicator of shifts, sudden and shocking changes and shifts in public life that show this Rahu and Taurus stabilizing things, making things more peaceful, making things also more security oriented. And so, again, notice these things. That Middle East agreement came out of the blue. A shocking, good news, at least on the surface. Again, I'm not naive, so you don't have to say, oh, you don't really understand. It's all about this. I do understand. I don't feel like getting into it. I do understand the ambiguities. Like I just said, it's not just about peace, but we sell a lot of our freedoms down the drain in order to get what we think is peace. Like the terror attacks that happened on 9/11, 2001, when Rahu was in Gemini, in order to feel safe and secure and stable, Taurus things, After that, again, we created the largest government bureaucracy and an entirely new bureaucratic law enforcement, which, by the way, this is like an autocratic's dream come true, the Department of Homeland Security. You can do anything in the name of Homeland Security, and the president pretty much can really direct them however he wants. It's literally just like a private police force that the federal government can do whatever the hell they want with it. By the way, those are the people that went into Portland in unmarked vehicles and pulled protesters took them to undisclosed locations, all this stuff. That was Department of Homeland Security. They weren't wearing any insignias, and they pulled them off the border and sent them over here. So that whole bureaucracy of law enforcement was set up the last time Rahu also went through Taurus. So again, it doesn't mean that because we want things that are stable and peaceful, it means that we won't sell our freedom down the drain to get some of it and make bad decisions. None of those things should be seen as good or bad. They're just energies. However, like I said, we are going to be looking for things to calm down and be more stable and more settled. And we're in that transition now. So look for other shifts that happen in the next few days, even as these transitions are ripe right now. Again, one of them that I just mentioned, I wasn't thinking about it until we started, but that's definitely big. That Middle East peace agreement. Right as Rahu is moving into Taurus. No one saw it coming. And again, this is the nature of Rahu. It's sudden, unexpected. And so I'm going to leave it at that. And again, I encourage people to get the free web class that I already talked about. It's excellent. And you should really know about how these nodes are going to be affecting you the next couple years, the next year and a half. It's extremely important. And we're in the midst of this big shift now for the next couple weeks, especially. And watch and see what happens. And so we'll just leave it at that. And you